today, we're looking into, everything surrounding those recent events with young Philly British internet personality, right?
Right.
You might know him from YouTube, music. He's even done some TV stuff. And we've got, well, some pretty heavy stuff to go through today.
Yeah.
We've got the actual court documents from Australia, news reports, obviously breaking down the allegations. And yeah, even some of those social media reactions, you know how those get.
Oh, yeah.
It's, well, we're not dealing with lighthearted stuff here, so we're going to treat it with the appropriate level of seriousness. I think our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack these facts as we know them right now, figure out exactly what these charges against him mean, and explore the bigger conversations that always seem to pop up around situations like this.
Right.
So, expert speaker, for those of us just trying to get a grip on all this, where do we even start?
I'd say the most important thing is understanding just how serious these charges are, right from the get-go. We're talking 4 counts of sexual assault without consent. We've got 3 counts of assault occasioning bodily harm. And then on top of that, there's 1 count of impeding a person's breathing.
Okay, so that last one, that sounds pretty rough.
Yeah, that one in particular really suggests there was a level of violence involved that's, well, incredibly concerning.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, this isn't just like a little misunderstanding, it sounds like. And we have to remember, this all went down in Perth, Australia, right? Where he was performing.
Exactly.
So that adds a whole other layer to this, doesn't it?
It does. This isn't a UK matter anymore. We're talking about the Australian legal system, which means different rules, potentially very different outcomes. And just to give you an idea of how seriously they're taking this, if young Billy is found guilty on all of these charges, he could be looking at a maximum sentence of up to 49 years in prison.
49 years. Okay, yeah, that definitely sends a message, doesn't it? It's clear the Australian authorities are not taking this lightly at all. But, of course, we can't forget about, the court of public opinion these days, especially with a case this big. It's everywhere online.
Oh, absolutely. In this case, it really throws a spotlight on how social media can be this double-edged sword.
Right.
Because on one hand, it blasts these situations out to everyone super fast, and that can be so important when it comes to holding people accountable.
It's like that saying, what is it? Sunlight is the best disinfectant, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just so easy for social media to turn into this breeding ground for speculation, misinformation, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And people start making judgments. And sometimes they're really harmful judgments before all the facts are even out there.
Yeah, you make a really good point. It makes you think, how do we even handle that as, people who follow this stuff, who enjoy the content? Because we're already seeing it, right? People digging up old videos of young Philly, using stuff he's done in the past as proof that he's guilty now.
It's like, they always say you should meet your heroes, right? And this just feels like a prime example of that.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, are we, the viewers, are we part of the problem sometimes, Building these guys up so high that the fall is just, inevitable almost.
It's a tough question, but, it's a conversation we need to have. And it's especially relevant here because of, young Philly and Beta Squad. They've got a massive young fan base.
Right, exactly.
And you were talking about the fans earlier. Imagine trying to wrap your head around this if you're 13 years old and this guy is your role model.
I saw a comment, actually, someone saying they had no idea how to even begin explaining this to their little brother who's in year 7. That's tough.
It really is, and it brings up a bigger issue here. The responsibility these influencers have, especially, the ones with younger audiences who are really looking up to them. They have to realize they're setting an example, right?
It's not just about the entertainment anymore, is it?
No, not at all.
And it's not just about what happens in court either, is it? Even if young Philly is found not guilty, the court of public opinion, that can be brutal. We've seen it a million times. Brands drop people, sponsorships disappear, reputations are shot.
Absolutely. And when you actually look at those court documents, you can see how seriously this is all being taken. They mentioned that initially he was denied bail, which usually means the court sees him as a flight risk, maybe even a danger to the public.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
He has since been granted bail, but with the pretty strict conditions, like having to surrender his passport.
So, yeah, there are very real consequences here, even before a verdict is reached.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that throughout all of this, young Philly maintains his innocence. He plans to plead not guilty, and he's entitled to due process, a fair trial, just like anybody else.
Of course, yeah.
But, I think it's a reminder that actions have consequences, both in the legal system and, in the eyes of the public. And that's something we could all probably stand to think about a little more.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like a wake-up call, right? Not just for influencers, but for everyone. Like, what we do matters, our actions have an impact, and in this digital age, things can escalate really quickly.
Yeah, it's scary how easy it is to forget that, there are actual people behind all the noise.
It really is.
So we've unpacked a lot in this deep dive. We've gone through the actual charges, the legal ins and outs, the whole social media circus, and how this affects young Phillies fans, especially the younger ones. It's a lot to process, so as we try to make sense of it all, expert speaker, what's the biggest thing you hope our listener takes away from all of this?
I think the most crucial thing to remember is that this is all still unfolding. We can't jump to any conclusions until the legal process has run its course. But having said that, I think this should give us all pause, make us think about how we engage with information, especially online.
It's like, how do you balance staying informed without getting sucked into the rumor mill? Right, exactly. And we have to be aware of just how much power social media has. I mean, it can do amazing things like amplify marginalized voices and push for justice, but it can also create this echo chamber where speculation and judgment just run wild. It's on all of us to be more careful about what we consume online and what we contribute.
And to remember that, like you said, there are real people at the heart of these stories. It's not just a trending topic, it's someone's life.
Absolutely. If anything, I hope this case serves as a stark reminder that consent and respect, those aren't just, trendy words we throw around. They're fundamental for how we treat each other online and offline, period.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And on that note, here's something I want to leave you all with, something to chew on. This whole situation raises some tough questions about, the responsibility that comes with being an influencer, especially when you've got a young audience looking up to you. So how do we, as viewers, as fans, how do we hold our favorite creators accountable? Not just for what they do online, but for their actions in the real world, too. It's something to think about, especially as we navigate this ever-changing world of online personalities and the very real impact they have. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.